What's up, guys? Neil over here checking out Stokastic's NFL DFS lineup generator for the Thursday night football slate between the Bears and the Commanders. I'm going to look at the lineups that come out for both DraftKings and FanDuel for tonight's slate. While you're coming in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Of course, if you haven't yet checked out the lineup generator, you can find the link in the description of this video. It's just $14.95 per week. Fantastic deal for a tool that only gives you plus EV lineups. Every single one of these lineups has been run through the Stokastic Sims, has been found to be a long-term profitable lineup. So very cool tool here. We're going to start by looking at some DraftKings showdown lineups. And I'm going to do contrarian lineups here. I found that these are the lineups that I like the best in the showdown tool, in particular, using the contrarian lineups. These are the lineups that typically tend to be less duplicated types of lineups. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm not going to adjust the projections at all. You can adjust here in Showdown. It's very cool. You can adjust for different game scripts. Like if you think the Bears are going to crush the Commanders, you can choose that outcome here. This would be the Bears going 6+ points over their total, Washington going under their total, or you can do the reverse. Whatever you want to choose, you can choose whatever game script, however you think the game is going to play out. But I'm just going to use standard projections here. And I'm just going to go until I find 3 lineups that make sense to me. So lineups that project well, that correlate well, and that look unique enough to use in a contest. So this first lineup that I see here projects for 87.5 fantasy points. So the projection looks really strong. You can see down here, it's on the far right end of the projection scale. That's what you want to see. We've got from a correlation standpoint, this is one of the rare quarterbacks that you don't even really need to worry about correlation with. Justin Fields rushed for over 1,100 yards last year. He's actually in the showdown contest that I looked at. So I only looked at the 36, I believe, contest where the first place prize was $500,000 or greater. There's only one instance in 2022 of a quarterback being in the captain spot without any pass catchers. That was, of course, Justin Fields in week 7. And that's what we're seeing here in this lineup. So again, projection standpoint looks good. From a correlation standpoint, Justin Fields, you really don't need to worry about correlating with Justin Fields. I would prefer to have a pass catcher in the flex anyway, even though he rushes so much, but you don't really need him to. So you're totally fine to have Justin Fields not correlated with anybody. We've got Sam Howell. I would prefer to have Sam Howell correlated with people. You've got him correlated here with Logan Thomas and Brian Robinson, secondary correlation there. From a uniqueness standpoint, I don't know what to make of this lineup. I think this one could be kind of unique because it has naked Justin Fields in the captain spot. I don't know how many people are going to do that. I think this is a lineup that ultimately I would probably not use. Like we don't have any super low owned plays here. Our lowest owned is Justin Fields, 13% in the captain spot. But I don't think we have any unique enough plays. It's only leaving 100 on the table. I'm sort of questioning if maybe this is viable. It's obviously viable. Every lineup you get here is plus EV, but if this one could be not duplicated a ton because it has naked Fields in the captain spot, but my instinct is that this one will be duplicated still a good amount. So I don't think that I would necessarily. I don't think I would use this lineup. This doesn't strike me as a lineup that's going to be unique enough for me. Now, again, this is a plus EV lineup, so this lineup wins often enough that even if it is duplicated a lot, it is a plus EV lineup. But I like to make lineups that are going to, when I win a lot of money. So I try to aim for lineups that are going to be duplicated 10 times or fewer typically, and I don't think this one is going to be one of those. I'm not confident that though. This one might be less duplicated than I think it will be, but I'm not going to use it. All right, second lineup we see here, we have Curtis Samuel in the captain spot. First of all, projects for 76 fantasy points. I think the last one was 87.5. So projects much worse than the previous lineup, but still projects, fairly close to the optimal. And I'm a little bit less concerned with the projection on Showdown than a main slate. Obviously still a concern. You want a lineup that's going to project fairly well, but I think this one projects well enough to be viable. We've got Curtis Samuel again in the captain spot. We do not have him correlated with Howell anywhere in here, but I'm not really concerned about that. We have Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. I love that from a uniqueness standpoint. But then from a correlation standpoint, so the only quarterback to worry about is Justin Fields. You've already got, again, as I said, you don't need to correlate him with anybody, but you have him correlated here with DJ Moore. So that's just a little bit of a bonus. We've got low owned Curtis Samuel, sub 6% in the captain spot, and leaving $3,400 on the table. Always a bonus in in getting unique. I think that is the biggest factor in not being duplicated a ton is having lineups that leave salary on the table. So leaving 3,400 on the table here, I like this lineup quite a bit. You got that on top of the double running back from the same team. I think there's a lot to like about this lineup. This is definitely one that I would use. So there's one. I'm going to try to find three that I would use. Second lineup, 6% DJ Moore in the cat. First of all, I guess projects for 78 fantasy points. Again, well enough, good enough projection for me. DJ Moore in the captain spot with Justin Fields, nicely correlated there. We've got both running backs. We also have Commanders defense against Justin Fields in the same lineup. I like that. That's something that, slight negative correlation, but people are going to be hesitant to play it as a result. And then you got Curtis Samuel in there as well. Leaves 400 on the table. I don't think I would use this lineup. This one, to be honest, I think the correlation is too nice here with Fields to Moore. Maybe it's not going to be used a ton because we have Commanders against Fields and we have the double running back. This is a second one that I would say kind of borderline. Like you certainly could play this one. I think that this is the type of lineup that I probably would not play because my guess would be that it's going to be duplicated at least like 20 times. So I would rather find something a little bit more unique. So far we're still just at one. All right, this one projects for 71 fantasy points. So we're leaving over 16 fantasy point on the table in terms of projection from the first lineup we looked at. We've got Khalil Herbert at 8% in the captain spot. And then we have nobody who is particularly unique in the flex spots either. So this one from an ownership standpoint, not particularly low owned. From a correlation standpoint, we don't have any quarterbacks in this lineup. And then we're leaving 7,500 on the table here. It's kind of interesting. My concern here is there are so many players that we would be able to. So you're kind of counting on Brian Robinson. I don't remember exactly what Fields' salary is, but fairly certain that you could upgrade literally any of these players to Justin Fields in terms of salary. So this lineup will only work out if all of these players actually outscore Justin Fields. I guess it's plausible. Maybe the Bears just really struggle. Fields can't get anything going on the ground. It's certainly not going to be duplicated a ton. So maybe I would use it. My main concern here is just that it would be so easy to upgrade basically anybody here. We're leaving so much salary on the table that you really need these to be the highest scoring players in the game. I guess it's possible that could happen, and it's not going to be duped. So yeah, I think I would play this lineup. So I'll save this one also. Now we've got Justin Fields onslaught with, I guess just two. I thought I saw three Bears there. We got Justin Fields with Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. I guess from a field standpoint, having two pass catchers feels like an onslaught. Projects well enough, correlates great with Justin Fields. We don't have Sam Howell to worry about in terms of correlation. And then we're leaving 3,500 on the table. So I think that this is one that I would use as well. So there's three lineups that I would use. Now I'm just going to go through and see what our exposures look like after saving 40 lineups. So after saving 40 lineups, our highest exposed player is Terry McLaurin at 47%. We got 42% Howell, 40% of Brian Robinson, Commanders defense, Antonio Gibson, and Justin Fields. Interesting here to see Fields so he's 40% in the flex. We've also got 15% Fields in the captain spot. So we're only getting Fields in 55% of our lineups. I guess that's because we're using the contrarian lineups, Fields going to be pretty high owned. So one easy way to give up some of that ownership is to not play Fields. But kind of interesting to see how many Commanders we see used in this set. Just Justin Fields breaking in. Otherwise, we've got 8 of our top 9 are all Commanders players. Very interesting to see that. All right, now I'm going to go through and take a look at some FanDuel lineups as well. So going to FanDuel single game. Again, I'm just going to go to contrarian lineups. I'm going to use standard projections. All right, so this lineup right away I can see is using the full salary cap. Not going to use this one. It's too chalky for me. I think that would be duplicated. Our second lineup we see here, we have DJ Moore in the MVP spot. We have Fields in there. Nice correlation there. We've got Khalil Herbert in there as well. Commanders defense going up against the 3 Bears, and then Logan Thomas. I think I would use this one. It correlates well enough, projects well enough, and leaves 3,000 on the table. I think this is a totally viable lineup. I like it. I'm going to use this one. So there's a first lineup that I would use here. Second lineup, we've got Commanders defense in the MVP spot. Justin Fields, among the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, he's already thrown 5 interceptions through 4 games. So I don't hate the idea of using the Commanders in the MVP spot. We've got Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin with Sam Howell, and then we have Roschon Johnson, the only representative here from the Bears. So we're going to need Roschon Johnson for this to be the best lineup. We need Roschon Johnson to outscore every Bears player who's 12,500 or less. I think that is probably possible. He, not the best bet out there because Roschon Johnson not being clearly an RB2 for the Bears, but certainly plausible. If he scores 1 touchdown, might be enough if the Bears can't get anything going. So I think I would use this lineup. It leaves enough salary on the table, and it has Commanders defense in the MVPs, but I think it will be a unique lineup, not duplicated a ton. So I like that one too. This one you can see right away uses the full 60,000. Now it does have Joey Sly in the MVP spot, just 2.2% projected MVP ownership for Joey Sly, but everybody else fairly chalky, and it's using the full salary. So I'm not going to use this one. All right. Now we have Khalil Herbert in the MVP spot. First of all, I guess we have Sam Howell. We don't have Sam Howell paired with any pass catchers from the Commanders. It's iffy. On FanDuel, it's more viable, certainly, than DraftKings because it's not full point per reception. It's only half point per reception. Makes it a little bit more likely that Sam Howell can get there without bringing along any pass catchers. He also does have some rushing upside, over 20 yards per game on the ground so far in his career, and a couple rushing touchdowns in just 5 career starts. So it is plausible. I think on FanDuel, it's viable to have Sam Howell in the flex without any pass catchers. So I think I would allow that. We got Khalil Herbert again at MVP at 8% ownership, Darnell Mooney at sub 10%, DJ Moore sub 20%, and leaves 3,000 on the table. I think this is not going to be duplicated a ton. I think I would use this lineup. So there you go. 3 lineups that I would use. Now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to save until I get to 40. See what our exposures look like. All right. So after saving 40 lineups, we have Sam Howell in the MVP spot 70% of the time. Justin Fields in the flex 68% of the time. Interesting to see we have 47% Commanders defense, 47% Khalil Herbert. Nobody else above 40% here. So on FanDuel, we are getting a little bit more Khalil Herbert towards the top. It's not just Justin Fields breaking in there. A little bit more Bears representation on FanDuel than on DraftKings. All right, that is going to do it for this video. Again, if you haven't already done so, please do like the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck tonight.